They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
What's up, everybody? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk about the Brooklyn Nets, and they are a team who I think is actually pretty underrated going into next year. When people talk about the best teams in the Eastern Conference, I typically don't see the Nets really mentioned as one of the real contenders up there. I think people kind of forget about them, and it's weird, but it does make a little bit of sense, right? Because they're coming off a season where Kevin Durant didn't play at all, Kyrie Irving missed the most of the season with injury, and those two players are pretty polarizing in terms of how the public feels about them, as well as how good people, think they're going to be. Coming back, KD coming back from the injury, Kyrie coming back from his injuries, as well as the both of them kind of being controversial media personalities. And so it kind of, people don't talk, when they talk about the Nets, they're not talking as much about the basketball as much as we are about the other stuff, right? So I do want to talk about what we saw tonight from them in their first preseason game, and then a couple of other things about this roster. So KD looked really good. That's the first thing that we all noticed, right? Kevin Durant looked, very similar to how we have seen him before. Obviously, it's just one game, the first game, just the preseason, and he didn't play his full minutes load. But he looked pretty strong. He was hitting his jumpers. His first play was a dunk. Was able to get to the rim. He looked like he was moving well, looked good on defense. Pretty much, a very similar version of Kevin Durant as we saw a couple of years ago with the Golden State Warriors. So that's a very, very positive sign for them. If KD can, come back and look like how he was before, that's like a top 3 player in the NBA, right? So that's pretty scary for the Eastern Conference if KD does end up looking like the player that we know. And then there is still some reason for skepticism, right? Like I said, he didn't play his full minutes load, so who knows, if he can handle a full minutes load, and then as the season wears along, playing back-to-backs and all that stuff, how that Achilles is going to feel after playing a lot more basketball than he has been over the last year. So I guess we'll just have to see when it comes to that, but early indicators say that he'll probably end up playing really well, and that's something that we had kind of figured, right, where KD is not a player that relies heavily on athleticism and explosiveness in order to be really good, like somebody like John Wall, right? John Wall off the Achilles, it's kind of like, I don't know, like his whole game is just being faster than everybody and jumping higher than everyone. Whereas KD, there is some of that there, but most of his aspect of him being really good is the ability to shoot over you, rise up and shoot over you, have great ball handling. He's a good shooter from the outside, and just really, really skilled for his position rather than just beating you with athleticism. So that's the thing to be encouraged about with Kevin Durant, as well as just throw a shout out to Klay Thompson. This is a good indicator for him. Hopefully, if KD does look good, then hopefully Klay will be able to come back and be the guy that we know. So past KD, Kyrie also looked very well. He shot well from the floor, looked efficient as always, and Kyrie is always the guy that we know, right? Doesn't look like there will be any long-term effects from that shoulder thing. Not really many people were anticipating him to fall off a cliff after that shoulder injury, and he's still only 28 years old, so he's very much in his prime. No reason to believe that Kyrie Irving will be anything different than the player that we have seen him be in those finals runs with the Cavs, and then in the playoff runs with Boston as well. So the other thing about Brooklyn, right, we know that their 2 stars are really good, and we know that they're going to be playing well, assuming that they're both healthy, right? So why do I think that this team is better than a lot of people are giving them credit for? I actually think they're pretty deep. They've got a lot of depth here. If you're looking at it, Karis LeVert, who is a talented scorer, he's going to be a third option for them. He can probably play the catch and shoot game a little bit. I don't believe he played tonight. He didn't get any minutes in this first preseason game, but when he gets back in that rotation, he should be a guy who will be able to definitely score for you, take a little bit of the burden off those stars, and I think that's a really nice depth piece for them. Joe Harris is, bringing him back is huge for them. One of the better shooters in the league. And you can never have too many shooters on your team if you're going for a championship, and so Joe Harris is definitely going to be a good piece for them. Spencer Dinwiddie's a great 6-man. I picked him to win 6-man of the year. I think that's a pretty solid prediction there, and I really think that if this team does end up being really good, Dinwiddie will have a good chance to win that award. And he's just another guy who can come off the bench and score for you. I think he's a pretty decent defender, actually pretty underrated on that end. Good distributor, got some good size for his position. So I think he'll be okay for them there too. The whole DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen thing. Allen probably should be starting. I think he's a better player, but either way, you have a pretty good center coming off the bench. Either one of them being the backup is not a bad option. So whatever works out, that's perfect minutes at the center spot. You can split between those two. Jeff Green is a decent veteran bench piece. Landry Shamet, bringing him in via trade, another shooter for this team. Tyler Johnson is also a nice depth piece. TLC, Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot. I can't ever say that, but he looked good in the bubble last couple months ago. So maybe he can step up and play some minutes in this rotation here. Trading for Bruce Brown, a good wing defender, decent shooter. And Nicholas Claxton, even though he's still young, he might not be ready to play a little bit. I liked that pick in the draft last year, and I think he's shown a little bit so far in his career. So basically what I'm telling you is this team is deep. It's got 2 stars, and if those 2 stars are healthy and playing well, then obviously they're going to be really good. And I think it's just, people have kind of just forgotten, and that seems to be kind of a theme here with stars who miss a full season. People kind of really underrate them and just forget how good that they were. And then when they come back, everyone's like, oh my gosh, this guy, I can't believe it. Can't believe KD is still good at 32 years old. And it's the same thing's going to happen with Steph Curry this year. People ranking him 8th on their top 100 list. Shout out ESPN. And putting, the Warriors as the 14th team in the Western Conference, right? People forget how good Steph was. Kawhi, his first season with the Raptors, when he missed the previous year with San Antonio. He comes back to the Raptors, leads them all the way to the finals and wins the title. Wow, I can't believe how good Kawhi Leonard is. Kyrie Irving comes back this year. Wow, I can't believe how good Kyrie is. The list goes on, right? As basketball fans and as media, people kind of have short attention spans, and kind of just tend to forget really things that they haven't seen in a while, and knock people down a couple of pegs just because they haven't, what have you done for me lately type of thing. That's always just how it is, right? So I think with Brooklyn here, we need to remember that Kevin Durant, the last time we saw him healthy, he was winning 2 finals MVPs. They would have won a 3rd final series had he been healthy for it, and maybe would have won a 3rd finals MVP. He was a top 2, at worst top 3 player in the league. He arguably had a case for the best player in the league. And yes, the Achilles injury probably will slow him down a little bit, but this is still Kevin freaking Durant that we're talking about here. So I'm not worried about Brooklyn. I think they're going to be really good this season, and I think they're probably going to surprise a lot of people. As weird as that is to say, I think, honestly, again, like I said yesterday, not trying to overreact to preseason, but I do think that there's some pretty positive indicators about the direction that this Nets team is going, and when I do make my win-loss predictions, I think I got Brooklyn trending upward. So that's about all I got for you today on the Brooklyn Nets. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you think about this, what you think about the Nets' chances this year to win the title, how good you guys think they're going to be, and if you disagreed with anything, as always, leave a comment down below, and with all that said, I will see you guys in the next one.